I'm Anil Kumar, and in these set of videos, we'll try to understand what periodic functions are and how to recognize them. Now, in this video itself, we will have a closer look at periodic functions and see whether how to justify whether a function is periodic or not. So now, whenever we are talking about periodic functions, we could be given functions in the form of a graph, in the form of data, or in the form of equations. We'll talk about equations later. Now in this video, let us see how to recognize a function, whether it is periodic or not, with the help of data and graph. Now if a graph is given to you, then a function whose graph repeats at regular intervals is periodic, right? So a periodic function is a one in which the values on the graph repeat at regular interval, correct? So that is how we can recognize a periodic function from its graph. Now from data, the y values in the table of values show a repetitive pattern when the x values change by the same increment. In that case, from the data you can say that this data represents a periodic function. I hope both the aspects are absolutely clear to you, right? You can pause the video, read these things and understand. So what we are saying is that from a graph, if I see a graph and if I see a repeating pattern, that means one cycle is getting repeated at regular intervals, then it is periodic. As far as the data is concerned, so if at regular intervals, if I have similar values repeating, let's say 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5 and so on, then we will say that this data represents a periodic pattern. Okay, now here is a test question for you. You can pause the video and answer this question. We have a graph for you, right? On the left side, this is the graph. You have to explain whether it is periodic or not. And then we also have table of values which represent data for you. You have to explain whether this table of value represents periodic function or not. Now once you have done, then you can move and check with my answer. Now let's look into this graph itself. Now this graph, really speaking, does not even represent a function, since if I draw a vertical line, it crosses at 2 points, correct? So it is not even a function, so it cannot be periodic function. Secondly, we do not see any portion repeating, right? So it is just kind of, let's say, a wave which kind of like this moves forward. Well, but you don't see anything repeating, do you understand? So this graph is in no sense a periodic function. Now, looking into the data, if you see the y values 3, 5, 7, 3, 5 and you expect 7, so they repeat. But will this table of values repeat a periodic function? Have a closer look. When you look at the x values, then here the increment is by 1. In all other cases, the increment is by 2. Do you see that? And therefore, this is also not periodic. Correct? So you have to be very careful when you look at the data or at the graph to be clear that this is periodic function or not, right? I hope that was a good exercise. Let's move on and see periodic function more closely. Thank you and all the best.